Going to answer the question, can a schizoid individual have a partner? I think it depends what the purpose of the partnership is. Going over to the definition of a partner, we have a pair of people engaged in the same activity, a person with whom one shares an intimate relationship, one member of a couple. So taking the first line of the definition, when it comes to business or study projects, yes, we can work together with other people if we want to, though we do prefer to work alone. Schizoids tend to be very individually minded, and this can make working with others towards a goal to be a challenge, especially in terms of like communication, etc. We do prefer to work alone, but it is possible that we can adapt to working with another person if there's a need to do so, especially if we don't have to interact with one another for long periods of time to get the job done. In terms of a partner, in terms of a close relationship, this is a little bit different. I would say that there are, amongst other things, there are three conditions I think that are essential in a partner if there's any chance or possibility of us having a close relationship, and that is that the person is non-intrusive, not emotionally demanding, and accepting of our way of being. So I'll elaborate on these points more. To be non-intrusive, it just means giving us space and allowing us plenty of alone time to do our own thing. We're not going to do well with loud people who require a lot of our attention. We tend to be in our heads a lot of the time as we are often dissociated or detached from the external world. We value being in touch with our own thoughts and ideas, and so people who disturb the relationship that we have with ourselves tend to be an unwanted addition to our lives and not something that we're going to stand for very long. We can steadily build resentment or disdain towards these type of people who frequently force us to involuntarily have to attend to the external world, especially over things that we may perceive to be trivial matters or that are of little interest to us. When I say not emotionally demanding, I'm saying that we cannot deal with people who put emotional demands on us. Many schizoids experience alexithymia, which is a form of emotional blindness, meaning that we have difficulty connecting with and reading our own emotions. Along with that, and also the schizoid defense, which creates a barrier towards intimacy and interpersonal exchange, we can only express a restricted range of emotions. We have difficulty communicating tender feelings to other people and also expressing anger. This means that we're not going to emotionally respond in a neurotypical way to situations and circumstances that occur in our lives. Having if somebody places the expectation of us to have normal emotional reactions and responses, this tends to be something that we're unlikely to be able to live up to, especially in the long run, as it's going to become apparent over time that we don't have the capacity to really communicate emotionally. So we need someone who isn't interested in a conventional romantic relationship. So for many of us, the societal notion of romance is not something we're capable of playing out. We can't be relied on to be emotionally available, and someone who pressurizes us to communicate our feelings is not the sort of person we're going to stand to have around. The third one, acceptance of our way of being. This should be quite self-explanatory, but I will add that we need a partner who can understand how we function psychologically and the challenges that we face as schizoid individuals. We need to live our lives in a way that is natural to us. So if we're to consider having a partner, it needs to be someone who doesn't expect us to go out of our way for them. Doing what comes naturally to us means that we can't consistently live in alignment with someone else's expectations of how we should be or what we should do or other people's value system. This means that someone who tries to push us to engage in, say, social activities or tries to get us involved in tasks that we're not good at would not be a suitable partner for a schizoid. As a connection to a partner isn't going to be based on an emotional connection, it would help if we have a shared interest with the other person, as this will create a common ground for which we can exchange communication or share our thoughts or ideas. Due to the issues that I've covered here, I'd say that we're unlikely to be compatible in a relationship with most neurotypical people who share intimacy and bonding through interpersonal emotional connections and through engaging in frequent social activities together. We're better suited to form a relationship with someone who is low on the scale of emotional feeling. And so such a person could be maybe another schizoid, could be potentially a good match in a partnership. Even still, any kind of partnership may potentially become a strain on us. Under these conditions, the number of people we can potentially form a partnership with is reduced. I came across an article and someone was talking about what he saw as his parents that were probable schizoids. So he wrote this: I think both of my parents were probably covert schizoids, married for 47 years, put on the smiley faces in public, but I can't think of any real emotional engagement interaction. Maybe it worked because neither made any emotional demands on the other. They were okay with a pro forma marriage. After Dad died, Mum seemed relieved to be alone. Never talked about it. Neither of them ever talked about any personal stuff with us kids, or, so far as I could tell, with each other. Like there was a glass wall between them. See, but don't touch. See, but don't touch. So this is talking about a schizoid relationship, and it just outlined, the fact that there was no emotional connection or exchange, or at least not to be seen. It's important to keep in mind that schizoids are all different individuals with different values and preferences, and so they also fall along different points in the schizoid spectrum, with some schizoids who have written off all interest in being in a close relationship, whilst others are still open to the possibility. So to sum up the answer to the question, yes, it is possible for a person with schizoid personality traits to have a partner, but it would be harder for us to initiate or maintain romantic relationships due to our tendency to be emotionally detached from other people and our limited potential for emotional engagement or expression. And there would be the conditions that I've outlined would need to be present, I do believe, to give the relationship a chance of survival.